As President Donald Trump will be back here in central Iowa in just a few hours, making his second stop here since returning to the White House. And it all comes as he's facing this growing backlash over his immigration policies. Let's pick up with my co-anchor Dana Searles. She is live outside of the Horizon Event Center in Clive, where Trump is going to speak later on today. And Dana, what are we expecting to hear from the president?
Well, Joseph, behind me it's quiet right now, but in just a few hours, I can tell you these doors are going to be open, filling with people as the president comes to town to speak at the Horizon Event Center. Now, these doors open at noon, and last week we heard from Chief of Staff Susie Wiles that the president is expected to focus his speech on the economy. Now, like you said, right now there are a lot of eyes on the Trump administration. This visit to Iowa is coming as just 4 hours up north in Minnesota. The Department of Homeland Security is conducting a massive ICE operation where 2 people have been shot and killed by federal agents. Meanwhile, a potential government shutdown does loom if a spending bill cannot get passed by the end of this week. And those midterm elections will have a major stake in who holds a majority on Capitol Hill, with Iowa having some highly contested congressional seats. So we will cover that in just a few minutes here. But Local 5 is in your corner all day long. We will have team coverage from the minute Air Force One touches down to the minute that his speech wraps up here at the Horizon Event Center. I'll be here hearing Trump's speech, but we want to get right over to Local 5's Emma Stroner. She is live at Des Moines International Airport. Now, Emma, tell us, how are Iowa's leaders reacting to the Trumps visiting Iowa?
Well, Dana, some Iowa leaders say the fact that the Trump administration chose Iowa to be the first in a nationwide tour shows that Trump has close ties with Iowa. The Associated Press says starting this week that he's going to make a tour across several U.S. states starting this week. So there's not much going on right now here at Des Moines International, but we are expecting President Trump to fly in within the next few hours before his speech this afternoon. We asked Representative Mariannette Miller Meeks what specific details about Iowa's economy she expects Trump to hit on. She says one big focus will be the working families tax cut.
Those provisions are very important for small businesses. They're important for larger businesses. They're important for senior citizens. So the provisions within the Working Families Tax Cut or Reconciliation Bill, extremely important to Iowa's economy as well as the nation's economy.
We also asked if there are any other topics Trump might talk about, and brought up how a few hours up to our north, there is a lot of unrest among the Minneapolis community with ICE. She tells us if he references what's going on in Minneapolis, that he will remind everyone to respect federal laws and push for an investigation into the recent fatal shooting of Alex Preddy. Now, this isn't the first time President Trump has spoken in Iowa. Dana, I know we both heard his address this past summer. Can you tell us more about his last visit to our state?
Yeah, Emma, like you said, this is the second time the president is coming to Iowa in his second term. Now, he was previously here last July. He was speaking at the Iowa State Fairgrounds, and it was all to kick off America's 250th birthday celebrations. Now, in that speech in July, the Trump administration celebrated his passage of his major spending bill, also known as the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Trump also took time to highlight his administration's achievements since he returned to office, and he was joined by Iowa GOP Chairman Jeff Kaufman and Senators Joni Ernst and Chuck Grassley. So it will be very interesting to see what he decides to focus on in his speech here. Like we said, it's supposed to be focused on the economy, but we'll have to see on what comes next and what he decides to talk about. But like I mentioned earlier, those midterm elections are really a high stakes elections for the Trump administration, because it will really kind of determine if they're able to have the majority in the House to push their agenda forward in the second half of his second term. So if Democrats want to win the House back over, take the majority, all they need to do is flip 3 seats. They could do 2 of those seats right here in Iowa. That's because 2 of Iowa's congressional seats are highly contested. That is Iowa's 1st and 3rd congressional district seats. Those are some key races that Democrats are hoping to win. In Iowa's 3rd congressional district seat, Republican Representative Zach Nunn is hoping to keep that seat red. Meanwhile, Republican Representative Mariannette Miller Meeks is being challenged for the 3rd time by Democratic candidate Christina Bohannon. Now, that race specifically is being categorized as a toss-up. We have seen that seat in the past come down to just singular votes. We have also seen Zach Nunn's seat come down to very small margins. So those are 2 seats that I know both Democrats and Republicans are keeping a close eye on. Those are key seats that both parties parties will want to win. Also, a civil rights organization is planning a peaceful demonstration in Clive this afternoon around the Horizon of across the metro, and we'll have teams covering this. So the League of United Latin American Citizens, or LULAC for short, says it will join community members and other groups for an ice out protest at the Horizon Event Center. Now, organizers say it's in response to agents' actions and concerns about civil rights and due process. Now, the gathering is from 2 to 4, and organizers say the event will remain peaceful and will be open to the public. Also, a heads up, if you are going to be anywhere in Clive, want to give you a heads up on this traffic update. Northwest 100th Street between Hickman Road and Swanson Boulevard will be closed from noon to 5. People attending the event should approach from the south via Northwest 100th or Swanson. Parking is at the Revision Church, and there will also be a designated free speech zone for those people who do plan to protest. Like I said, a lot happening, but Local 5 will be out here all day long covering this from start to finish. Joseph.
And Dana, I know that the president is going to really hone in on the economy today. What are some of the hot button economic issues that we're expecting him to address?
Well, Joseph, I think a lot of eyes are going to be what he says about the ag economy. Obviously, a lot of farmers, specifically soybean farmers, were hurt by Trump's tariffs due to tensions between U.S. and China not originally buying all of their soybean product. That has since eased. However, it will still have a lot of eyes on what Trump wants to do with the ag economy since they did face that turmoil just a few months ago. Also, Trump has previously asked cattle ranchers to lower their prices. Now, those are just two things within the ag economy that I'm sure a lot of eyes will be on. A lot of eyes will also be on property taxes. I think there are a lot of hot button issues right now surrounding the economy that people want to hear the president address. So we will be here covering it from start to finish. I'll be inside listening to the president's speech, and we'll bring you all that coverage later today. But for now, I'm live in Clive. Dana Searles, Local 5 News.
All right, Dana, and as you just said, we're going to have expanded team coverage of President Trump's visit and speech over on We Are Iowa Plus from his arrival to his speech. Make sure to watch and get that all-access pass to the president's visit. Download it on your TV and start watching for free.